Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, Cody Bellinger is a New York Yankee. News came down the other day, and we kind of covered it on the YouTube show here, but also want to mention with you podcast subscribers as well. So we'll get into the Cody Bellinger trade, and there's some of the other free agents that the Yankees are potentially looking at. So make sure you're a subscriber here at Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Get frequent updates, reactions to news like that, in which I'm sure there's going to be a few more nuggets as this winter carries on. And before you know it, we'll be into spring training. And as mentioned before, you also want to make sure you're a subscriber of the YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Subscribe there as well. Again, that was a rare occurrence where the YouTube episode came before the audio podcast episode, so you make sure you want to cover all your bases. So the Yankees, obviously Soto walked away with taking the bigger contract from the Mets, and of course afterwards you heard the Yankees would go looking for some other solutions. If Soto was A, then you're kind of looking for the 1A under solutions, and a couple of names being thrown out. One of them was going to be Kyle Tucker. Of course, that would involve a trade with Houston or Cody Bellinger. Now, the Yankees were supposedly kicking the tires on Tucker. It looks like Houston, they were holding out. They wanted Luis Heel. The Yankees didn't want to budge on that, so they ultimately traded Tucker to the Cubs, which then opened the door for Cody Bellinger. And overall, between Bellinger and Tucker, actually, I wanted Bellinger. So, even though he's more expensive, I think this is the better fit for the Yankees, and he ends up a New York Yankee. Now, it's a good deal for the Yankees in terms of they don't have to give up much. Only had to surrender Cody Petit. So you don't have to give really one of your big chips like a Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez or anything. The reason being is that Bellinger's making a ton of money. He signed for 2025 for $27.5 million, and then there's a player option for 2026 for the same amount. And really, what you figured the standoff of this whole thing was the money. I mean, the Yankees were obviously going to want the Cubs to contribute a little bit because that's a lot of money for the Yankees to take on. So you figure it was really going to be not really about the prospects, more about the dollar cents and how much the Cubs were willing to kick into this deal. So I guess Cashman was able to hold out and get them to put $5 million towards this. So they'll eat $5 million of that money. But still, it's a lot of money for the Yankees to shell out. But it's really still a good deal for the Yankees. You only have him really for 1 year, potentially 2 years max, which isn't terrible. He's 30 years old. Had a renaissance in his career. I mean, he came on the scene in 2017, was the National League Rookie of the Year, the 2019 National League MVP, but then had shoulder surgery in 2020. And, his career did dip a little bit and he wasn't really the same player. And eventually by 2022, the Dodgers non-tendered him, but came back with the Cubs and kind of, again, I guess, maybe just needed a couple of seasons to really regenerate the strength in his shoulder. Now he seems to be back to normal there and again, a high-caliber player for the Yankees. And the reason you like him, he can play multiple positions. I mean, it seems like the Yankees are mainly looking at him as a center fielder, but he can also play some first base, which would be great. Just because, with Anthony Rizzo gone in, Rizzo, as much as we like him as fans, obviously the production wasn't there the past 2 years, and just he doesn't really have any power anymore. He doesn't have any more. I mean, if you just look at Bellinger compared to Rizzo last year, I mean, you're upgrading that position if you're going to use him as a first baseman mainly by like tenfold. So great addition for the Yankees. And you only gave up Cody Petit, who, maybe had some potential there, but he was kind of one of these experimental Cashman arms. You kind of saw a few of these guys where it was Cody Petit, you had Will Warren, Luke Weaver. Now, obviously, we know what Luke Weaver eventually transformed into, so that became a good one for Cashman and the Yankees. Now, Will Warren kind of up and down a little bit, so we don't know the jury's out of him. Same with Cody Petit. Gave the Yankees some decent, looks as a start of the season. Then missed a chunk of I would say, like the third quarter of the season just with some injury. Came back towards the end there. Could have some potential, but you're not really giving one of your big pieces away. So even if he goes to the Cubs and flourish, that's not one you're kicking yourself in the pants with. Getting Bellinger there as kind of the quote-unquote replacement for Soto. Again, is he as good as Soto in all aspects of the game? Not really, maybe. Maybe he's better defensively. As a hitter, though, he's not like he's terrible. Maybe if Soto's A, then, maybe Bellinger's like 1A. Maybe his batting average isn't going to be as good as Soto. Maybe not as good at the plate. Maybe not as good as taking walks and grinding out at bats, but still could give you a quality production with home runs and doubles and RBIs. And one of the reasons Cashman wanted to go after him, as he said, is that he puts the ball in the air towards right field. And obviously, 81 games at Yankee Stadium. You have to be an engineer for NASA to understand why Cashman wanted him in here. And a day or two after the trade was made, Boone mentioned that he did speak with them, and he's pretty much is a total team player right now. He said he'll play any position, left field, center field, right field, first base, wherever you want me, coach, one of those attitudes. And in terms of his jersey number, everything kind of fits like a glove. Now, his father, Clay Bellinger, played for the Yankees and was on the 2000 championship team. And I, told the story on the YouTube episode. He was involved in that Game 1 Subway World Series against the Mets there. Could have been Todd Zeile hit a ball off the wall now with Timo Perez on second base. Bellinger able to field the ball off the wall, relayed it into Jeter. Jeter with his jump throws there over the third base bag then, and to Posada, and they nailed Timo Perez at first base and keep the score 0-0 at that point there. And kind of just put an emphasis on the Mets, in that Subway Series game, just game one, first inning like that, where the Mets were about to take a lead and the Yankees just snuffed it out real quick. So his father, Clay, involved that, and he was number 35 at the time. Now, what happened when the Yankees signed Mike Mussina in that offseason, Mike Mussina, one of his demands is that as the big name free agent pitcher, he wanted to be 35. So a call had to be made to Clay Bellinger to say, hey, you have to give up that 35, son. So, and he surely did there. And I think he might have been the Yankee system a little bit for that year, and then he finally faded out. Again, Clay Bellinger, not much the offensive player that his son is, but his son obviously now could take 35 because that was mostly won by Clay Holmes, who left the Yankees for the Mets to become a starter there. Good luck on that one. So now with 35 vacant now, that could go to Cody there. So it's kind of perfect timing with everything. And it's just, because it's hard to get a Yankee number now. There's not too many left, especially the lower numbers. A lot of them getting retired or just not available. And so to get a number like 35 that his father wore it, now the son could wear it, a nice little touching story there. I don't think Bellinger's going to be with the Yankees long term. This is probably probably a 1 or 2 year type of rental, but instead of spending $47 million on Juan Soto now, the fact that that money became free, then Cashman was able to go around. You could, splurge a little bit on someone like a Max Fried, who originally maybe you wouldn't have wanted to, and now Bellinger, and again, putting a couple pieces together, which, again, that might be the better thing versus retaining Soto for the next 20 years there. So, so far this offseason, been, a little bummed out by the Soto news, but so far, been rocking and rolling for Cashman. And getting to Max Fried, they did have the press conference for him, the formal yesterday at Yankee Stadium, the whole bells and whistles there. Obviously came in clean shaven. We thought he'd rock a mustache. Maybe he'll grow it and join Austin Wells, but nevertheless, clean shaven face there. Got the Yankee look. Will wear number 54, previously owned by Tim Hill there. So that goes right to Max Fried. And, he just kind of mentioned that the whole deal with the, not worrying about the pressure and stuff like that of being a New York Yankee and everything, blah, blah, blah. Kind of give you that. And then some little cozy story about his dog Apollo there, so not much from it though. And Cashman mentioned that once Soto became not available, actually Max Fried was his number one target. He wanted to go after him right away there. So it's kind of one of those things like, I mentioned it, whether here on this podcast or on the YouTube episode, kind of have the devil and angel on your shoulder with Juan Soto. Like, part of you wanted him to stay here, but then like when you realize that money's released and you could do some other things, you kind of figure that's what Cashman really wanted. Maybe Hal wanted Soto to stay, and maybe Cashman wouldn't have mind him leaving. And we've seen Cashman throw his line in the sand with a lot of players. You go back to 2007 when A-Rod opted out. Cashman said, all right, goodbye, see you. And it was really the Steinbrenner brothers, Hal and Hank. Hank was alive at the time. They're the ones who kind of brought A-Rod back into the fold. Other than that, Cashman had no problem him walking away. So he kind of has that cold demeanor. Same thing with Derek Jeter. Jeter's final deal was 5 years there. Cashman basically made the offer public and said, hey, look, if you can find a better deal than this, go ahead and take it. And it's the Yankee captain, this is Derek Jeter. Cashman had no problem him walking away. And even we saw a couple of years ago before Judge signed his mega deal, Cashman and Hal tried to put a deal out there and kind of trying to pressure and twist Judge's arm to accept a deal. Hey, don't you want to be a New York Yankee? Here it is, stuff like that. Now, Judge wisely called Cashman's bluff and, of course, had a tremendous 62 home run season. Then, of course, he got the big mega deal after that. But again, in all cases, Cashman's always is willing to let someone walk there. So it seems like, Cashman had no problem. Deep down, maybe he wanted Soto to leave so he could use this money in some other areas. Now, according to Cashman, he said he's not done. He says he's in communication with the top free agents out there, including Pete Alonso. But I think that's a little bit talk with Alonso. I mean, he's going to want a multi-year deal, like a 5-6 year deal. But they said the Yankees also look at some other first-bite options, such as Paul Goldschmidt or Carlos Santana. I would like to call Santana. And again, I've been campaigning for him as a one-year solution. I know he's age 39, but I think he'll be great for the Yankees as well if they go that direction. Or even Paul Goldschmidt at age 37. I mean, that's a guy he's only going to want a 1 or 2 year deal. So again, you're not on the hook for much, as well as Christian Walker. But I think the Christian Walker thing is going to back off a little bit because he's going to want at least a 3 or 4 year deal. And I just don't think the Yankees are going to offer that to him. But if you get Carlos Santana and or Schmidt at 1 year, I think the Yankees would entertain that, or just go to war with what you got with right now. You could have Bellinger at first base, or if you want to put Bellinger in center, move Judge back to right, and kind of, even though I don't love the guy, I mean, you can't have DJ LeMahieu. I mean, he's still wearing the Yankee uniform. You're still paying him money. Not the worst thing in the world. At least you want to start the season with him. Maybe Ben Rice in some sort of competition there for first base, though. Or if they want to do something for second base, they've been said they're okay maybe trying Peraza or Oswaldo Cabrera as a competition in-house, or again, if they want to go somewhere else. But it seems like Cashman at least wants to make one more move for the infield, which would probably be second base, and include one more arm for the bullpen. bullpen, and even they admit Jonathan Loizaga, they use him they see him as a high leverage type of guy, but not someone they expect to be there for opening day. And all the rumors and news was that he was not going to be available for opening day. So again, that all it makes sense for him at least want to get one more arm in here because you can't depend on Loizaga there for opening day. So that's the episode. Yankees really bounced back well. Again, Cody Bellinger, I think is just perfect just for Yankee Stadium, for the Yankees, and he seems excited. He wants to be here. And even Cashman mentioned that in his conversation with Boris about other players, Bellinger was bothering him, say, come on, make me a Yankee already. Make me a Yankee, make me a Yankee. So it looks like he really wants to be here. That's what you want. You want guys that want to be here, not like Soto, who could be here, but you got to give me this, and they need a suite, and they need this, and they need that, and let my friends in, and all this other stuff. So, the Yankees could cut bait with some of that drama and get a guy like Bellinger in here who just wants to be a Yankee and wants to play. Yeah, sure, does he want to put up numbers here and get a big mega contract after that? Sure, and he's 30 years old. I don't think he'll get that with the Yankees, but look, if he wants to use the same motivation that Soto used in 2024, put up great numbers in a New York Yankee uniform and get a mega contract after, great. And if he leaves, fine. But at least you got a good 2025 out of Cody Bellinger, and I think that's what you get. So far, so good. Even with the Soto not being a Yankee, I think this offseason so far has been great for the Yankees. Upgraded many areas. The starting rotation is going to be better than it was last season. The lineup right now potentially at least start the season off being better than last season. Yeah, you can't replace Soto, but can you get 2 or 3 other guys that were better than you had last year? Of course. So far things looking good for the Yankees and Cashman. We'll see what move they have next. Catch you next time.